I want to talk about some things that are happening in the world right now. World events, things like what happened in Jamaica. We'll get into the SNAP benefits. But right now, I want to talk about how I research before I. Well, I'm going to show you the process of how I research things so I can get a full understanding of what's going on. Now, we know what happened in Jamaica, right? It was a hurricane. And just to let you guys know, this video is for informational and entertainment purposes. Now, we know what happened in Jamaica. It was a hurricane. Now, we can say that this was a natural disaster. However, because I'm aware of what you call weather modification, I'm going to interpretate this event a little differently. I'm going to ask myself different questions like, well, with everything going on in the world right now, was this hurricane modified? So, to update you, let's watch a video on weather modification. Oh.
Generative AI into every step of your analytics. Use your approved LLMs like OpenAI and Anthropic to automate tasks, generate insights, and reimagine what's possible, right inside Alteryx with new Gen AI tools. Next, meet Alteryx Copilot, your interactive AI assistant. Just tell Copilot
it out rather than landing blind. So scientists came up with a plan to install gasoline pipelines along both sides of the runway and ignite them to create huge. This is the history of human weather modification. During World War II, too many British Air Force pilots were crashing while trying to land in heavy fog so thick, some crews just ditched their planes in the sea and parachuted out rather than landing blind. So scientists came up with a plan to install gasoline pipelines along both sides of the runway and ignite them to create huge rows of flame, which then evaporated suspended fog droplets, allowing the Allied aircraft to locate the airfield and land safely. In 1946, techniques were developed that triggered rain and snowfall in places that wouldn't have gotten any otherwise. This became known as cloud seeding. It works by dispersing dry ice, salt, or silver iodide into clouds to alter their microphysical processes. In the early 60s, the US government began testing cloud seeding on hurricanes to learn if it was possible to weaken them. Rocket canisters of silver iodide were dropped from aircraft into the storm's eye, and gun-like devices mounted on the wings also sprayed the stuff onto the clouds. Initially, the tests seemed to work. Wind speeds were cut, and in some cases, the hurricane eye walls even fell apart. But as observational technology improved and more controls were carried out, the hypothesis was invalidated and the program was canceled. In its desperation to win the Vietnam War, the Americans turned to weather modification to make it harder for the enemy to move throughout the region by inducing heavy rainfall to muddy or destroy their dirt roads and trails. 47,000 canisters of silver iodide were dropped over North and South Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. Some areas supposedly saw their monsoon period extended by up to 45 days, but just 2 days after the New York Times exposed the program, it was discontinued. Operation Popeye caused the USSR and US to negotiate a ban on the military use of offensive weather modification techniques in 1977. But the treaty didn't stop countries from using cloud seeding against themselves, as the Soviet Union did in 1986 when the Chernobyl nuclear disaster sent fallout into the sky. Civilians on the ground and the Russian pilots who carried out the mission have confirmed that aircraft flew overhead, ejecting a substance into the clouds. This resulted in heavy, black-colored radioactive rain to fall in Belarus instead of onto the Soviet capital, Moscow. Today, 37 countries are operating weather modification programs to enhance rainfall or suppress hail, or both. But nobody does it quite like the Chinese, who established the Bureau of Weather Modification in the 1980s that's now a 37,000 people strong sort of weather national guard, ready at a moment's notice to operate the more than 4,000 rocket launchers, 7,000 anti-aircraft guns, and 30 aircraft to trigger downpours in drier areas that really need the rain. The Bureau's highest profile operation was keeping Beijing's Bird's Nest Stadium dry during the opening ceremony of the 2008 Olympics. The following year, the Bureau dropped 186 doses of silver iodide into a cold front to bring drought-stricken Beijing its earliest snowfall since 1987.
What?
A Swiss company took advantage of the United Arab Emirates' desperation to bring rain to its arid lands by building 10-meter-tall electrical towers that produce negatively charged ions that, according to the company, supercharges the formation of rain clouds. But a former chairman at NOAA isn't buying it, saying, quote, "This method is inherently incapable of producing clouds out of thin air," end quote. The thing about weather modification is that it's hard to prove it works. But based on the results we've seen and the number of countries still doing it, man's effort to control precipitation isn't stopping anytime soon, even though we have little understanding of the unintended consequences. If this video opened your eyes to the reality of weather modification as much as it did mine, like it and help it spread. And as usual, thanks for watching.
This is how you research.
When too much work bogs you down, Asana helps you handle it. That's because Asana...
Weather modification. I knew somebody would say it. I knew somebody would say it. See? Look at this.
What's happening in Jamaica is not a natural storm. This is a man-made storm made to implement the 15-minute smart cities across the world. So this was a project part of the 2030 agenda, so funding from the US, and this is part of the smart cities they're trying to implement across the world. You can verify this yourself. Elon Grok says that yes, this is a vision that Jamaica incorporates smart cities. So the only way to implement something from a city of that size is to naturally destroy it, because they can't. No one will ever agree to either sell their land or do things that they can't do. They only use humanitarian crises in order to implement things like this. So whenever you see a natural storm like this, this was part of the agenda to clear out the entire city and build new. For control, part of also probably digital IDs coming through, part of smart cities and what they're going to test on in the future. And of course, New Kingston is to test and implement smart technology. And so basically this is just a breeding ground to understand what the future will look like for just about everybody if we don't continue and conform with everything that we're trying to do. So stay safe, stay vigilant, and don't believe that everything that happens is natural, because they've been modifying weather for over 60 years now. Here it is, New Jamaica, guys. New Jamaica will be the new smart cities. It's all right here. Just check it out. Vision 2030 Jamaica. What's happening in Jamaica is not a natural storm. This is a man-made storm.
Well, there it is, y'all. That was just a little bit of research. Yeesh. Peace, love, and light. Leave your comments. Tell me what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like and subscribe.